Right, episode 2 of Glenn Talks Shit. And today we're talking about legacy training. A few things I want to cover first off. Jess has been probably my oldest client now. Not old as in old, you've Oil of Ole is clearly working. But I mean, as in she's been here the longest, I think. So, Jess, congratulations.
Oh, I didn't know that. This
But
is
other than me
news
longest,
for me.
actually, I'm just thinking Louise and Patty are the only ones that have been here longer than you. So there you go. Not sick of me yet. But
Mm.
what we're going to cover in today's podcast is basically going to be around what Jess done when she was getting going versus what she's doing. And I really like these interview series because it makes it hella easier for me to actually get into doing what I said I would for ages, podcasting and marketing myself a little bit more. But it also gets to put the spotlight on you guys as, frankly, you're the story. So, Jess, what did you originally get started with this for?
Um, just overall well-being, I think, was my main thing. I mean, I was obviously unhappy with my weight, but the main thing was the weight was impacting on everyday functionality and making me feel very low. So trying to be the better version of myself. But at the time, I needed to have a change.
You had quite a lot going on, right? I know, obviously, with like work and stuff, but if you could tell some of the listeners what you would be typically doing on like a week to week basis, what is it you do for work and the kind of hours that you do, hard as they are?
So I'm a district nurse or community nurse. I love my job, but anybody probably working in the NHS, maybe other sectors too. Just we're all busy, aren't we? But I think I was just self-sacrificing to the point where I wasn't looking after myself. Even though I'm a nurse, so care should really start at home. So yeah, I still work as a community nurse, so I still do the same hours. Um,
How much have you seen kind of change? How much change have you seen in the last sort of year and a half?
Massive, like not only physically, like the weight loss, but just mental health wise. Um, and I'm still working the same as I was in terms of my routine. I've made commitments to my routine to change it for the better. And also being with Glenn and Untamed Fitness, not to be complacent and to challenge sometimes, those habits that need to be reassessed, should we say?
That was a very ambiguous way of saying that, then, wasn't it? It was a very diplomatic politician answer, readdressed. I like it. And I'm going to go with a slightly different slant on this. What has it been like working with me, working with Untamed, some of the good parts and obviously some of the inevitable bad parts? What would you say they've been like?
So working with Glenn has been really well. It's just been really positive. I mean, there have been times when I first started. Um, I remember having a conversation with Glenn and saying, "Oh, I've tried this, I've tried that," and he just shut that right down. And at the time, I took it a bit like, "Oh God, I can't talk to Glenn." But what he was trying to say is that that's irrelevant what you've done in the past because we were on about the now, the here and the now, and the future. So, working with Glenn, sometimes you need that person in your life that will just sort of be your cheerleader, but it's not always cheering you on, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's giving you some bit of hard truths. Um, and then obviously the community for me, I say obviously because I'm assuming people will know who they won't know me from this, but I'm a real community person and a group team player person. So being part of the actual group, as much as I like to say Glenn is the one that gets me out of bed in the morning, it's mainly the group and seeing the seeing all the guys and girls on there and you know being inspired by their journey as well.
I think that's a really interesting point because what doesn't get spoken about is the what happens after the happily ever after. And that's what I mean when I say about sort of like legacy coaching, legacy training, legacy planning ultimately, where we might have a goal of, 4 dress sizes, which is absolutely going to be huge. But I can't sit here with a client and say, as your trainer, I'm going to get you every step of the way. I can know that we are physically able to do that, but shit happens along the way. So what I think is a real testament to you and to a large part of the community, I'm going to use, the same phrase as well, is the ability of you guys to kind of support, coerce, make each other accountable, call each other on your bullshit. I think that has been a huge part, from my perspective of the outside looking in, of you guys sticking around probably much longer than you would have on other things.
Yeah, agree.
So you've obviously been in a while now, Jess, and you have had major successes. You've done obviously the nuclear rush. You've become a leader with the group. You have done like 5 dress sizes now, something like that, right? So what would you say has been the biggest lesson and the biggest change you've had to make with yourself?
Probably the outlook so anyone can do a diet, but it's how you think about yourself that's really changed for me. So I feel like empowered because for me, my mentality around myself has changed, which is really, really probably the which I'm most grateful for, is that relationship I have with myself is so much better, healthier, and it means because I'm kinder to myself basically, and I prioritize myself first, it means that I have confidence that this isn't going to stop because my outlook has changed, my mentality has changed, the way I think has changed.
Just dive into that a little bit more for us, because I think a lot of people hear these confidence changes and, I got to this dress size, but like, what were some of the typical things you were kind of telling yourself different to how you say it now?
So feeding into that negative kind of, I didn't go to class this morning. Oh, I ate like a whole Domino's pizza last night. You're rubbish. Like you always do the same stuff. Like you never learn. It's just so unproductive, and that's something that I just don't dwell on it. If I want to have a takeaway or not go to class, I have the choice. I'm not obligated to do anything.
Jess,
But
has that always been like that though, or has that developed over time? Like, how did you
no, it's
start
developed
there?
over time. It's basically consistency. So you have to consistently sort of frame it in a positive, try and frame yourself in a positive way. Because I think if you keep beating yourself up about things, then it's not, I don't know how to put it, but
Like, funnily
it's
enough,
just
you're
not
never going to be
helpful.
consistent.
Like it's just not help. Yeah, you just have to I suppose that's why having Glenn is so helpful, is that you unpick sort of those habit changes, and like if you're slipping back into maybe habits that aren't best for yourself, yeah, you've got somebody that's neutral, that Glenn does know me obviously, but he's there for my well-being, and he can chip in and say, well, have you considered this? And obviously he's experienced as well. So yeah, I suppose you have to put the work in. You can't just expect things to land on your lap.
Gone further than probably most people I've ever worked with in my life. So I think, other than saying I'm having a Domino's when clearly Papa John's is the out and out winner, other than that heinous mistake, I think you've done pretty well so far, Jess.
Yeah, and but I think that for me, like I'm always wanting to do better, and sometimes it's quite nice just to give yourself a pat on the back and say, I'm happy. I'm happy where I am.
Yeah.
And it's all good and well future planning, but you've got to set realistic goals. There's no point setting goals that aren't achievable.
Yeah, and that's been one of the biggest changes I've seen with you, is how you would always move the goalpost, endlessly moving the goalpost. You would be, but I didn't get that done. I done 4 workouts, but I didn't do this. I done my 7 days on my fitness pal, but I went 50 calories over. You were always moving the goalpost, and this is a ton of people I speak to, where when I always ask, as you know, what have you done previously? And they'll tell me, I'll listen, and I'll be as emotionless as possible, because that's the good thing about having someone online that, you know, who the hell am I going to tell, right? But on the flip side, you find that if someone's tried every diet, if they just stuck to what they did the first week and repeated that for 6 months, they'd get where the hell they wanted to go. But they start adding this in and that in, and then, oh, I need to do this as well. They don't just stick to, you know, jog 2 miles a day and eat 5 pieces of fruit. Again, I'm obviously throwing these out now. Our programs do get a little bit more sophisticated than that. But the essence of that is what I'm trying to talk about here with, you know, Jess has already mentioned to whoever's listening to this, like, she works as a community nurse. She's working long hours, often thinking about life and death. She's got lunch on the go. Like, she's obviously got a very stressful job that comes home with her. How that impacts her and her home life is going to be massive. But she's managed to do best part of 5 dress sizes. That's some shit worth listening to.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like I needed a little bomb going off then, like, just to kind of make the point, drop. You know? Back, yeah. Phone drop. There we go. So, Jess, I really appreciate you being on it today. And again, this is my poor attempt at starting something that I'll be still doing in a year or two's time. So, what would you say to anyone listening to this is the biggest thing you have probably learned about your own mindset? Because I feel like we want to end on almost like Glennie's final thought. I don't know if you're old enough to remember Jerry's final thought, but yeah, we're going to do Glenn's final thought. So, as my guest, my illustrious second guest, what would you say is the biggest? And I'm not trying to get you to say, "Oh, join Glenn's programs." Like, do whatever you want. I've got clients who are personal trainers. I've actively said to some people before, "You shouldn't train with me. You should go do face-to-face, or you should go do boot camp." But it's about you, whoever's listening to this, taking your step forward that is the right one for you. So how would you tell them to do that? No pressure.
Oh, God. So my first thing would be is you have to want it. Whatever fitness journey you want to start or wellness journey, you have to want it. Like I said before, it doesn't just sort of happen. And you have the power to do it. You just need to find the right avenue for you. For me, Glenn and Untamed Fitness has really worked, and I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, I would just say just start doing something.
No, Jess, you can't go anywhere now. I've got you labelled as godparents for the dog once me and Chloe get married. So in case anything happens to us, you're getting the dogs. So don't worry about that.
Yes. I love Labradors.
Okay, we're going to wrap up.
Did I answer that question? I can't. It's such a big question to answer, but I would just say for anyone out there, you'll be better to yourself and just start something. Just do it. Just go for it.
Don't be ashamed to put yourself as an important thing, because I love asking this question to disproportionately mums and business owners that answer this. If you were to have stuff go sideways for 48 hours where you were bedridden, couldn't make any decisions, people couldn't contact you, how quickly would shit go sideways? If the answer is pretty quickly, maybe you need to see yourself like a utility bill and something that you just pay into. Maybe you don't see the results all the time. You don't always see the electricity going through your walls and coming out the plugs, do you? But the lights have to stay on somehow. You got to pay for that.